Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Let's Play of Our Life Beginnings and Always, part 23, I believe. Last time we did summer work, which is pretty self-explanatory. And this time we're going to do escapee, so let's jump in, shall we? You looked up, noticing the sun was finally setting. You had been trying to delay the end of the day for as long as possible. I wonder why. The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices. Okay, first of all, this is not me. I do not like watermelon. The snack made you happy. You thought watermelon was just okay. You were eating it because watermelon was a summer tradition, or you weren't even sure why you were eating it. Me. But that didn't stop you from munching on the sweet snack. You turned to look at Cove. You both had been sitting in comfortable silence for a while now. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched as his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit the seed into the bush. You shook your head in disapproval. Eee! You did the same and spat a seed into the bushes, or I bet I can spit a seed farther than you. The two of you had made a little habit of periodically doing that while you've been snacking. This time he decided to make it a topic of conversation. Okay. I hate how it feels to swallow them, those hard black seeds. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. You both went back to eating in comfortable silence, still occasionally spitting unwanted seeds into the bushes. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. That one is your third one already. Is that bad? It tastes really good. Yeah, but are you hungry? Don't eat it just because it tastes good. You bumped him with your shoulder. Unable to resist, you knocked the most friendly slice out of his hand. No. You smiled at him. No, it's alright. It's definitely bad at your side affectionately. If another slice is going to make you happy, it will. Go ahead, I'm not going to stop you. Cove picked up another slice. He smiled at you, delighted. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down on the plate next to him. Are you okay? Yeah. Wonder what that was about. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything? What do you mean? I thought I felt a raindrop. The sun's still out. It can rain with the sun out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped up to the front step. Immediately you felt a tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right. And now it's raining. Cove is still staring up the sky as you watched him begin blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemushed. It's a sun shower. Huh, that's cool. It seemed crazy, but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into the light shower. A light shower. Moving with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes towards the front door, and he reveled in the moment. You were excited, you hid from the rain, you were annoyed with the sudden sprinkling, it kind of felt special to you. Something rooted you in place, and you couldn't quite put your finger on any word to describe the feeling. Elevated, he was jumping and spinning in the rain. There was also warmth radiating from him. You then join Cove, or you were content to continue watching? Let's join him. You ran over to stand out in the street with him. He smiled at your approach and offered you his hand. You took it. You played in the rain droplets until you were both dizzy, and laughed until your bodies ached. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped, and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Look, his shirt's dark. That's cool. Cove caught your eyes. Running a hand through his wet hair, combing it back, he frowned. It's over. The droplets of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. Well, it was fun. I wish it lasted longer. I had enough rain for one summer day. You didn't say anything. You were charmed by Cove. We'll go with this one. Why not? There was still a spark of amusement dancing in his eyes from the sun shower, and you couldn't help but smile from ear to ear. What? Nothing. Just thinking about how fast you committed to getting soaked. He chuckled bashfully. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Then you looked over at your door inside. You knew Ma wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically. You can dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. Thanks, let's do that. You're the sweetest guy I know. I don't want to cause trouble or I'm fine. Thanks. It's not a big deal. It is. I could already hear my ma's cries over my wet footsteps being all over the halls. I know, it's okay. Cove led you inside and you stood close to him. We have a ton of spare towels. I just gotta dig them out of the hall closet. Thanks for doing this. What should I do? I think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you too. Cove didn't have any towels yet, but he came back into eye shot so you could see him stare at you flatly and roll his eyes. Haha, don't you think my clothes might be kinda big? You laughed and let him go. I'm not joking, it might be nice to borrow a shirt. He raised an eyebrow and a tiny frown, flushed with a blush, appeared on his face. Oh, I mean, if you're serious, I'm just gonna dry my stuff off, but I could get something for you. Thanks, Cove. Let's be honest, you just want to wear his shirt. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time. He wasn't making much eye contact, but towels in hand, plus what to be one of his pajama shirts. It was a bright pink color with a dark brown seagull pattern all over. That's an interesting combination, but okay. You were certain it would look great on him. So, well, here it is. I hope that works. Thanks. You accepted both the towel and shirt. You wrapped the cloth around your neck temporarily and took a trip to the bathroom to change. The shirt was old but very soft. You already felt more comfortable just thinking about having it on instead of your current damp attire. You left your shirt over the shirt and curtain rod to dry. Patted yourself down with the towel and slipped Cove's shirt on. You wrapped your arms around your torso. The change didn't completely fix your predicament, but it was definitely an improvement. Even if it was kind of off, you could make it work. And you couldn't deny it was a bit thrilling to wear a piece of his clothing. You almost couldn't believe it was true. Not wanting to keep Cove waiting, you promptly returned to the living room. He looked up to greet you after hearing you come back down the hall. How'd it go? He's still embarrassed. Is it good? It looks good. Oh, what? Really? He chuckled a broken laugh, unsure what the proper thing to say about this kind of situation was. He's so adorable. Keeping eye contact was even more of a challenge for him than before. I think so. You wear it well. I can barely tell it's not really yours and that it's mine. You got the impression that was just as you felt some excitement at wearing his clothes, he was having a similar reaction by seeing you in them. Thanks, Cove. You're welcome. Sudden call caught both your attentions. I thought I heard voices. Does she not work? I mean, granted, she's on vacation, but... Oh yeah, she's a journalist, that's right. Cove Small strode into the living room with a curious grin. What happened here? You're both wet. There was a sun shower. Badass. She's crazy. Cove smiled back at his mom. We came inside to dry off. My mom's didn't want me going into the house when I'm wet. So I told Jamie to come here. That was very sweet of you, baby. She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kiara's eyes. I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around in the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Cove only offered a shrug and a bit smiled at his mom. He looked at you for a real answer. Yeah, let's do it. You weren't sure about her suggestion. I don't know if my parents would want me to. Yeah, sure, why not? Fun, this would be good. Kyra pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers earlier in the summer. Head on out to the garage. I'll meet you there in a minute. Sorry, my mom can be so pushy. She gets some idea in her head and that's all she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car and Kyra wasn't far behind. Alright, I'm back, you two. Once the three were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. When she hit a main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way. Hey. Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. That's funny. Meanwhile, you closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. I said this drive was going to be good for getting you air drive. Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration. She locked the window on you. You disabled the back? Sorry, I can't hear you. His mom's crazy, but I love it. Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. You laughed and enjoyed the event. You jokingly complained about the situation. You're not a fan of this stunt, or you danced in your seat to the music. Let's just laugh and enjoy it. You yelled into the wind and burst into laughter. Looking over at Cove, you saw him relax. He seemed glad you were having fun. What is this? Then something stuck to the side of your leg. Several papers were free from under the car seat and were blown about. Oh, they can't go out the windows. Cove began to haphazardly reach around the space and try to get all of them back under wraps. Amused, you helped frantically, or you watched him struggle entertained. Yeah, let's help him out. Let's not. You jumped to his aid immediately, trying to snatch up every single paper crashing around within your reach. As much as you both caught fistfuls, there was no stopping a few that got sucked out the windows. Cove gasped. I wonder what they were. Mom, close the windows. Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She kept driving. The both of you had a sour look at that. We got most of them. I know, thanks. I wonder what they were. The sun set completely, and at that, Kyra rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had in his fist. My mom is crazy. She's interested in that. He ran a hand through his wind-blown hair and laughed with a bit of aspiration. You felt good, you didn't know what was happening anymore, or you felt you were fed up. The evening had really turned out to be more interesting than you expected. Grinning, you were happy with your odds with whatever else happened next. Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom. I bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but I feel ticked. Oh, tricked. You sided with Cove, you sided with Kyra, you stayed quiet. Let's just not get involved this time. You shook your head and looked out the window. Kyra continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows and everybody was sitting more comfortably. Kyra lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around and she caught your coy smirk. Does anyone know what we drove past during that dry cycle? Nope. A movie theater. Ooh, that sounds fun. Okay, most places have one somewhere. It isn't that late, you know. We can probably still catch a show. Really, Mom? We don't even know what's playing. That's what makes it fun. I want to see a movie. That's probably what I'm going to pick. Not sure about that. No way, that's not fun. Heck yeah. Or aren't my moms expecting me back soon? Probably, but movie time. Both of you? He seemed hesitant. He gave you a smile and Cove eased up a bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating impulsive behavior every day, but it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have a night like this again. And don't worry, Jamie. I said I'd watch over you for the night. Not just 10 minutes ago. Oh, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there. I didn't bring any shoes. You should always bring shoes when you're going out. I'm not wearing any either, or it doesn't matter. I don't know. I feel like I'm probably wearing shoes, but I might not, but... Let's just say it doesn't matter. But how am I supposed to go inside barefoot? We'll sneak in through quick. No one will notice. You can do it just this once. You bounced in your seat excited that this was actually going to happen. Kyra's right. You never got to do stuff like this. Kyra drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With unbuckling her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite being hesitant to leave, once inside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema. You hurried behind, but figured the cold tarmac on his bare feet was what was fueling him on ahead. Inside, you noticed there was no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kyra paid no mind and strode up towards the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shook from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking down. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than standing would have still, but if there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy. You offered him your shoes, still you consoled him, you teased him over it, you complained with him, you kept quiet. We'll console him, why not? You poked Cove's arm to get his attention. It's gonna be okay, Cove. His expression softened into an appeased smile. Yeah, thanks. Eliciting a sigh of relief out of you, Kyra returned with tickets in hand. She quickly hurdled you and Cove towards the showing room. I wonder what the movie's gonna be about. I am so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on. We almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. Well, that's awesome. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing. Yes. Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kyra couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kyra pointed at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kyra sighed contentedly. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He then leaned over and whispered to you. Do you have any idea what the movie is? No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets. Watch it be like a rom-com or something. Oh boy, he's concerned. I'm interested. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film. Okay, that's completely not what I expected. One about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. Okay. You were psyched. You could live with that. You thought this was going to be annoying. You became nervous. You became terrified. Or you couldn't do this. You had to leave. The movie only started and you were already petrified. That was perfect or you hated it. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed that he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bit down his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. That was something you learned from him early on. You remained still. You tapped Cove on his shoulder to get his attention. You angled your body in your seat to be closer to him. You grabbed a hold of his hand or you covered your ears. Your fingers wrapped tightly around his, and he jumped slightly at the unexpected touch. But his expression softened when he peeked at you at the corner of his eyes. He watched you with an unspoken question written all over his face. Will you be okay? You shook your head no, or you shook your head yes. We'll say yes. Make him feel better. He gave your hand a squeeze to silently force support. That made you feel good. Sometimes the other people in the theater screamed or jeered or clapped depending on what was happening. Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but in a dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive. Dang, that's awful. I hate when the main character ends up dying or something at the end of the movie. It's kind of sad. You stayed out to let the credits roll and for the theater to clear out. Then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late, Kyra was exuding an optimistic energy. We survived it! Your nerves were still calming down from the movie. Cove gave you a worried glance and then a hard look at his mom. A movie that wasn't gonna... a movie wasn't ever gonna kill us. It was just gonna make us unhappy. She's not happy. She deflated a little at the chastising. Sorry, gang. I didn't know it'd be that bad. It made me really tense. I guess that's the point of horror stuff, but I kind of don't want to feel like that. Yeah, I feel the same way. I'd rather watch something funny than something scary. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not for everyone. He narrowed his eyes defensively at the attempt to encourage him. Yeah, it just wasn't for me either. Oh, Jamie, how are you feeling? It really scared me. I hated it. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was scary, but I had fun. I guess we'll say that. I mean, we did get to hold Cove's hand, so, you know, not a total loss. Kyra smiled a little more at that. I'm glad. I still can't believe they died. It was nice when things weren't all obvious. You don't really know how it's going to end until you see it, but I wanted it to go better. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like endings should be good. Unless it's like a true story, then, you know, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, but yeah. I demand a happier ending. I love how it all fell apart when it seemed like things were going to be okay. Dark much? I saw it coming. You know, along with what Cove was saying, or it was so lame. I demand a happier ending. Yeah. You and Cove spent the rest of the car ride absorbing conversations about the movie. So, who's hungry? Probably since we didn't eat. You were surprised when you realized Kyra didn't drive you home, but to a drive-through burger restaurant instead. She's just taking us everywhere today. Sounds fun. I'm not hungry. You shook your head no. Yeah, you nodded. Why not? Yeah. I'd be starving. That's the spirit. Get whatever you want. Okay. A hamburger, a cheeseburger, a chicken sandwich, a spicy chicken sandwich, french fries, onion rings, a salad, chicken nuggets, mozzarella sticks, a soda, a milkshake, a serving cone, or a chocolate chip cookie. I want a cheeseburger. I want some french fries. And I'll take me a soda. Sounds good to me. Is that alright? It's an okay. She pulled up to the window and ordered what you asked for first. Then she decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa. What are you going to do with all that? Eat it. The whole menu? That's right. There may be only 10 things on it, and they're about $1 each. I can swing it. And besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm going to feed to your dad. He'll be in heaven. I love it. Cove sighed and affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you. You're quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed to you in the back seat. Then she drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me. Okay, what are we gonna grab? You chose one of the wrapped sandwiches and handed it to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else. Thanks very much. Accepting that this was going to happen, Cove shrugged and started pulling food out of bags for himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings and he happily munched on them. You selected something randomly. You made sure to grab something you liked. You know what? Let's just go for random. You weren't even questioning Kyra's crazy ride anymore. The adventure continued, and you were so preoccupied in the backseat you almost didn't realize the car stopped. Kyra turned to look over her shoulder. Okay, party people. It seems we reached the end of the road. Confused, you checked out the window and saw nothing except for empty road ahead. And then you noticed it. The now leaving sign. Kyra took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kyra turned the car around and parked along the side of the road. I think you could both use a break to stretch your legs. And I doubt no one is going to come through here this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. You stayed in the car, you followed Cove. I wonder if she's trying to recreate that time that we ran away. Or something, I don't know. You got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms as he strolled around. I wonder what he's thinking about. You thought being here was exciting. Being here was pretty cool in your mind. You didn't care much. You felt worried. You were mad. You felt tired. Let's be worried. Maybe he's having bad thoughts now. Your mom said things were fine, but I don't know. Do you think my mom will still be mad? Maybe, but definitely not at you. He answered immediately and honestly enough to make you believe him completely. You could tell by his expression he felt bad. At least your mom has been calling them. True. I mean, she's being responsible. She's telling them where we're at. Yeah, your parents have more rules than my parents, but they're not really mean. Shortly afterwards, you noticed Cove's expression change. His eyebrows furrowed and it looked like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next. Jamie, I'm really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this, seriously. It's been fun, though. I mean, you know, it's not what you expected, but it's been interesting. Why is she being like this now? I think she feels like she has to get out there and do things with me while she can, and she wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others, and it didn't start off good. I think she's trying to make up for lost time and whatnot. Thinking about how Kyra's trip began this summer, you can understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end. Are you having a good time with your mom around? Okay, I get it. She shouldn't have made me part of it. You nodded in understanding. She's giving you a taste of your own medicine. Or you said nothing. Yeah, it's still weird having her and Dad in the same house, but I love her. She's my mom. I like hanging out with her most of the time. Well, that's how most teenagers feel about their parents usually, you know. Most time you like your parents, but they're your parents and they get on your nerves and sometimes they make you do things you don't want to do, but overall, you should still love them, you know. It went silent between both of you, so you jumped when you heard the sound of the car door closing. Cove, Jamie. You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side waving. The sight brought you a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where you were both standing. Thanks for waiting. I didn't mind. How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled his hair, and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. You thought how interesting it was to see Cove interact with his mom. And then the memory hit you. The first summer, you and Cove came to this very spot in his runaway attempt to find his way back to his mom. And now you were all here together. That's kind of ironic, isn't it? You kept that thought to yourself. You whispered about it to Cove, or you said it out loud. Taking a step closer to Cove, you leaned in to share the moment just with him. Isn't it strange that your mom took us here? This is where you tried to see her when you removed a sunset bird. Cove flinched and his eyes darted over to his mom, worried that she heard. When he was satisfied she didn't, he turned back. Yeah, it's weird, but she doesn't know that happened. At least I'm pretty sure she doesn't. I don't know, maybe she did. I feel like she might have known. Really? Dad likes to tell her things are fine, so she doesn't worry. You decided to inform Kyra, or you nodded and kept the secret? We won't say nothing. Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiracy smile. Anyways, it's kind of cool to be here right on the edge of town. Exactly, we're standing on a precipice. I think so too. I don't really see why it's so different. You didn't have a strong opinion about it. Yeah, sure, I guess it's interesting. You're like in between two different areas. I knew you'd get it. It's good to appreciate these times and places. Kyra let out a big breath of air. We should probably call it a night, huh? Yes, let's go. Finally, you shrugged. You felt disappointed it was actually over. You kind of hoped there was some other unexpected event that would pop up to keep things going. Kyra shied smiley and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still sprawled about. You rested your head into the seats as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in closer to whisper. I can talk to your mom so if they get mad tonight about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice. Thank you. Thanks, I might need it. I'm just glad we're heading back now. This was worth it even if they get mad or you not. Your mouth pulled into the biggest grin, getting a laugh out of Cove. If you say so. Oh, also don't worry about bringing that shirt back when you get home. Just keep it. Until tomorrow? He simply shook his head. Your face went warm. He was giving it to you. Aww. Thanks. You're the best. Secretly, you hoped not to give it back. Good you weren't gonna get it back no matter what, or you were at a loss over this. Cove smiled bashfully at you, but said nothing else. The drive home was smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely, and you felt your eyelids getting heavy. You rested your head on your side of the car. Your head came to rest on Cove. You were too tired to keep your head up, and it felt quite comfortable there. Cove didn't have any issues there. He leaned into it. Aww. He must have been exhausted too. You were happy to stay close like that. It was warm and comfortable. When you opened your eyes, you expected to be in the car, but not your bedroom. It was somehow morning already. You couldn't remember how you ended up here. Sitting in your bed, you thought about last night was quite an experience. It would have been almost felt like a dream if you hadn't been wearing the shirt Cove had let you take. It definitely happened. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapee this summer. And that's it for that. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel to know videos came out, and I'll see you next time when we do the last moment for step 2, and then we go on to step 3, the final part, which I'm excited for. But until then, peace out, everybody.